Israel's interest, and it certainly is in the United States' national interest as well.
Yep.
And we've got to bring this thing to an end. And if Iran is not going to negotiate legitimately and stop the enrichment program and dismantle their program, then we have to act.
Right.
In my judgment,
Absolutely.
and take this system down and their ballistic missiles
Yes.
for the reason I just stated, because
Absolutely.
they are a significant threat.
81 years since the invasion of D-Day, your thoughts?
Well, Brian, it's the day that changed the world. I mean, the seminal event of the 20th century was World War II. Close to 100 million people killed as a result of the war in both regions. And the reality is that outcome was in doubt in 1944, whether we could defeat the Nazis or not. The invasion of Normandy was the key to success. And when that operation succeeded, we know for a fact now that the German general staff knew that the war was over. The United States and allies were making a two-pronged attack towards Germany, one coming through Italy and the other one coming through France, and the Germans were pressuring from the east. If they had stopped it cold, it's doubtful whether we could have succeeded or not. So
Absolutely.
It's not an understatement to say that's the day the world changed. That's the fact.
81 years ago today. General Jack Keane, thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Yeah. Great weekend to you and the team. Thank you.
Yep, a lot on the line these days. Meanwhile, Democrats spiraling over ICE raids, with Boston Mayor Michelle Wu going so far as to compare agents to neo-Nazis.
I don't know of any police department that routinely wears masks. We know that there are other groups that routinely wear masks. NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Yep, Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons is here to respond next.
Well, Frank, I couldn't be more pleased to be here. I was in New York on 9/11, so to see the work that you're doing, these many years later, for so many of those firemen, police officers, and emergency people that were affected. So this is an organization that can relieve some of the difficulty and pain for these people. So I salute you in honor of your brother, Frank.
You protect our country, you give your kids a kiss goodbye, you don't come home, we're going to make sure you get a mortgage-free home. We build specially adapted smart homes for our country's most catastrophically injured service members and first responders. And now we made a promise that we're going to eradicate homelessness amongst our veterans. But there's a lot more work that has to be done.
Whatever I can do, it'd be my pleasure.
Please donate $11 a month at T2T.org.
I told myself I was okay with my...
After trying this news, business, and news.
NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Just to clarify, are you comparing ICE to NSC 131 neo-Nazi group and comparing them to neo-Nazi group?
What I said is that Boston Police and no police department that I know of at the local level routinely wears masks.
This comes as ICE agents are facing a 413% spike in assaults. Acting Director of ICE, Todd Lyons, joins us now. Mr. Director, thanks so much for joining the program this morning.
Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks for having me.
So before we get into some of the data that you guys have released, we got to get your reaction to not only the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, but what the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, said, which is he's going to identify all of your agents, whether you guys like it or not. What's your reaction?
Well, Lawrence, I used to say that I was pretty disheartened by some of the political rhetoric, but I've totally changed to it. It's outright disgusting. What Mayor Wu said is completely disgusting. She actually compared us to a neo-Nazi group. And here I am on January 6th, where many of the men of ICE, brave men and women that were veterans, on the day, great day in military history when we defeated the Germans and the Nazi Party, we have elected officials comparing the brave men and women of law enforcement to Nazis. It's completely disgusting. And I've said it before, to the mayor and to the congressman, I'm a victim of that doxing. Last administration, I had mass protesters show up at my house at 3 a.m. coming from other states because my name and address got leaked. So I know what the men and women of ICE go through every day. So while they may not like it, what the men and women of ICE are doing in Massachusetts and all over this country is making communities safer. And under Secretary Noem, she is giving us her vision and her leadership to go out there and make these communities safer. And that's what ICE is doing. So to call
enforcement, they don't want to be the story here. But to paint a picture for our audience, how many, just an estimate of your agents have been doxxed so far?
Lawrence, there's so many ongoing investigations going on right now across this whole nation. Our partners at the Department of Justice have been great. We're bringing cases against these individuals that dox, but we have, I would say, if not hundreds, thousands. Look in Massachusetts alone. We had an officer, his photo went viral everywhere. One of the best officers, most mild-mannered, nicest human beings on the planet, yet he was described in the worst way with his photo taped to every street corner, to telephone poles, identifying him just for doing his job.
I want to talk about your operation. It's supposed to be the best nationwide arrest record in history. Over 2,300 of those folks were arrested in one day. How were you able to do that?
Well, Lawrence, I think the best thing we have right now is a whole of government approach. The whole entire federal law enforcement system understands that President Trump and his administration sees this as a national security crisis. We have had so many unknown individuals that have been released into this country over the past 4 years that it's situations like just happened in Boulder, and it's situations like the heinous crimes that you've seen us take care of in Massachusetts that are happening daily, that we need to go out there with a whole of government approach between us, the ATF, the U.S. Marshals, DEA, Coast Guard, and make sure we're taking these public safety threats out of the street. And that's what we're doing. We're being given all the tools to actually do our law enforcement mission.
Mr. Director, there's been all of this reporting that's been put out there. I know the president, Tom Homan, have said they are targeting the criminals, the worst of the worst. We just had a terrorist who just had an overstayed visa. So we realize that there are real national security threats going on in our country. Some reporting has suggested that you guys are going to work sites and all of that. Can you give us some context of how you decide which place you're going to target, Mr. Director?
Well, Lawrence, I think what we do is we look at the, like I said, the whole situation and the whole scope of that case. When people say immigration, they always think it's not a crime. It is a crime. It's federal law that's being broken when someone violates our immigration laws. So while we are focusing on the worst of the worst, and a majority of our resources are prioritized on those public safety threats, ICE isn't going to walk away from anyone that's here in the country illegally. If you enter the country illegally, if you're a U.S. business and you're hiring or exploiting illegal aliens that are working, that's a crime. We are going to take that.
And of course, Mr. Director, that means these folks have final deportation orders. I got about 15 seconds, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and Lawrence, what we're doing is we're focusing on those ones that have final orders and that have stayed for so long and that we need to get out of the country.
Thank you, sir. Be safe out there.
Thanks, Lawrence. Appreciate it.
So the Boulder firebombing suspect is back in court today, and DHS has an urgent new warning for Jewish communities all across the country. Details next.